Snow in Stilettos challenge. Here we come. See you the next one. How's Davos looking?
A clean patch just to make sure, and that created a whirlwind of negative response. And I remember looking at these 5,000 comments of hate and fascinated. Most of them were Russian. And at the time I already went to India, I went to Africa, and for me, of course, this issue, in fact, I posted a pad to support a film that came out in India called The Padman, and to raise, conversation around this issue of shame and stigma around periods and female health in general. I never thought, even if I knew that this is a sensitive conversation, because these are your wives, these are your sisters, your moms, your daughters. And I'm a mother of a daughter, but I'm also a mother of 4 boys. And to me, educate my boys around sexual education, around menstrual health, around what it is that girls go through. And also this emotional health, because actually with periods comes, this hormonal change that we experience every month, and it does exist, and many men do not know about it. So somehow in the world today, the standard of female health have been set low, no matter where you come from. And I think that we have to raise the standard. And the first thing is by talking. Let's Talk is a platform. We took it to Turkey, Nairobi, Belarus, India, a few other.
Stigma, secrecy element to things like periods that is really problematic, because if we didn't have periods, we wouldn't have babies, and none of us would be here. So actually they're amazing, and we should celebrate the fact that women have quite complicated reproductive systems. And as also Natalia said, there is a lot of hormonal stuff that happens alongside, and often the attitudes around that.
Working in a small village in a rural village in the Congo, where there's no water, where there's no electricity, where it was no school. So when we started to implement a girls' school, you needed to talk to the chief of the village, because they sent first their boys to school. So to have a girls' school was something completely new. So we had a lot of talk, and they accepted, and I promised them we will try to bring the electricity on the road. So it was no road, so the government after 12 years started to do 60% of the road. So I kind of kept the promises. But a school that we built, before even you build the school, because there's no water, you needed to build a well. And then you start to build the school. And we started only with 3 classrooms, one only for girls.
From India, and I work a lot in the gender space. Since we're talking about staying away from breaking that taboo. The work that we do in general is really tough, right? So when we talk about women, when we talk about gender non-conforming people, when we talk about people who identify as women, I don't know any single person, and I don't want to make this an India-centric issue, but around the world, I don't know any single person who's not themselves been subject to some sort of sexual violence or discrimination or sexism. And we're dealing with a pandemic on such a huge, massive scale. And the truth is, the way we're dealing with it is by 1, asking women to adjust, or asking gender conforming people to adjust, and 2, ignoring it, or 3, feeding into the cycle of sexual violence, right? So everyone wants to.
We put the foundation together. I think for us at Serum Institute of India, being a vaccine company, the health of women is a primary focus, and the health of women, the health of children, and then taking it forward actually to support what Natalia is doing. Health is a very big part of not talking about your period. You miss your period, you are stigmatized, you don't want to talk about it, you're embarrassed about it. you could be hiding a whole bunch of health issues below that. So it's very important to be able to come out and speak about these things. I think education to me is the part about my foundation that I'm most passionate about. We have about 9 schools there, and for me to talk to the principal.
I met her on her wedding day. Walked up to her and smiled. No one ever talks to the bride. So I thought I'd try something new, thinking maybe I could break tradition. Henna patterns wrapped around her wrists and climb of her arms, spreading blossoms on tender flesh. Her lips were a wilted crimson tilted ever so slightly to the side, the perfect almost smile. The first thing her mother taught her was how to wipe the tears before the blood dries. Shredded knees heal, but shame never fades away. Don't climb trees or ride bikes, that's how little girls lose their virginity. She sat on a porcelain throne, beads and bows, holding plastic flowers to the armrest. Are you all right? I asked. I shouldn't cry.
We also have to be very, very sure that, I'm thinking about it from the United Nations lens. When we collaborate, we allow people the space to talk about what's important to them. And that intersection of what's important to me as a champion of sexual and reproductive health and rights in an era where there are questions as to the legitimacy of women owning our own bodies. Fertility is an arbiter. In the poem we heard of someone who's going to be a grandmother by the age of 35. I know that girl, and I know that her potential may not have been fulfilled. So ultimately, I think...
Let's go!
Oh my God! And then turn over the 9. And it'll look like your card. Oh my God, that is good. Wow. It is. I bet. You're right here, left it. Squeeze the piece tight, you're right. No, squeeze the piece tight. When you squeeze the piece tight, don't let it take you. What magic trick do you want me to do with the pieces? You want them to seal? Like not seal, but stuff them on the board? Yeah. You want the pieces to go back together? Yeah. Taking it to different levels. I've been seeing you for a while.